Some great news on Sonny Gray. Plus, what's up with the rash of arm injuries across Major League Baseball? Thomas Gauvain from RedbirdRants.com joins us today on Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm a national radio sports anchor, born and raised in the Lou, and a lifetime Cardinals fan. And I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You can follow me on Twitter, X at JD Sports Radio, and you can follow the podcast at LO_Cardinals. We want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment so you're interacting with us. Hit the notification button so you know when new episodes are posted. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. All you got to do is go to PrizePicks.com/LockedOnMLB. Use the code all lowercase, LockedOnMLB, very key, lowercase, for a first deposit match up to $100. All right, as you can see on YouTube, I am joined by my buddy Thomas Gauvain from RedbirdRants.com. Thomas, joining us on a Sunday. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing really well. I love spring weather, and I've been outside the last couple of days quite a bit. Plus, baseball's back, so.
Is it going to stay this way, though? That's the real problem with the weather. Like one day it's cold, one day it's 70, and then we get it for a couple of days, and then it's raining, and then everybody's sick, and it's just a miserable experience. But yes, I like sunshine. Sunshine is nice.
Oh, yeah.
So, give me more of that. Give me more of that. Speaking of sunny things, oh my gosh, it's corny. So corny, but it is Sunday. It's good that we got some Sonny Gray news. The AL Cy Young runner-up, which the Cardinals inked to that deal in the offseason. We were all very excited about Sonny Gray joining the staff. This is going to be the guy. He's going to be our ace. He's going to lead us to victory. And then he got hurt in spring training. He had the hamstring strain. Well, we got some great news. According to manager Ali Marmol, Sonny Gray is set to return to the Cardinals' active roster and is going to get the start on Tuesday at Busch Stadium against the Phillies. He recently threw 54 pitches in a simulated game with Class AA Springfield and threw a bullpen session on Saturday. The workload for Tuesday's debut, they're saying it's going to be around 65 pitches. So, I mean, don't expect him to last super long. That could be 3 innings, 4 innings. If he's really on his game, maybe 5, but I don't know. We don't know how sharp he's going to be. You know, this is going to be his first time on a major league mound with the Cardinals since he was with the Twins last year. So what are your thoughts on the return of Sonny Gray, and how big is this for a team that seems headed in the right direction right now, Thomas?
I think it's huge, just on a mental aspect of it, to get your ace back, the guy you thought was going to lead a rotation and who was leading the rotation in more ways than one in the spring. To have him back and making starts is an awesome thing to have. He'll also probably replace Zach Thompson in the rotation, and nothing against Thompson, but he is no Sonny Gray. So I think that just that swap alone, moving Thompson to the bullpen as a long relief guy, that'll lengthen the bullpen, give us some more depth that we need.
Now, I know this is just purely guessing, but as far as how the bullpen kind of gets rearranged now, do you see Matthew Liberatore sticking around, or do you think like John King is going to get the boot, go back to Memphis? Because I've made the argument in the past that, you know, I kind of want to see, I know Libby has had some success as a reliever, but I kind of want him stretched out a little bit. And if somebody's got to go and he needs to get some work down in Memphis, I'm not opposed to that. But do you think that's what they'll do? Or do you think this is, John King, you're gone again?
I'm not sure either way. I think I see benefit in sending Libby back down, keeping him ready as a starter. But then you're stuck with John King in the back of the bullpen, and will you use him often enough to even have it on the roster? I hope they send King down and then keep Libby in like an Andrew Miller back half of his career type of role, where you can give him 2-3 innings at a time, save the rest of the guys if it's a heavy day or something like that.
Yeah, I can see the benefit in all of it. It's not, it's kind of a, you know, I don't want to jinx it or anything, but it's kind of a nice situation to have where you've got somebody who is young, has the talent, and is willing to do either or, because, sometimes people are like, I don't want to be a reliever, but Liberatore made it clear from the get-go this year that he's like, look, I just want to be in the major leagues, and I'm willing to do whatever you guys need me to do. If it's bullpen, great. If it's starter, great. I'll do it all. Same goes with Thompson, who, has done the back and forth thing for a couple of years now. You don't want to stunt their growth at whatever they're going to be at some point. But the idea is to win ball games at the major leagues. And we're not trying to win AAA championships. That's great if they do, but that's not the goal. So, I want all hands on deck, your best pitchers. I want that on your pitching staff, and I don't care what the role is. I kind of want them all up there. I understand why you would do the other moves, but I would rather see Libby stick around. I would rather see Thompson stick around and have John King, who didn't make the roster out of spring training, head back on to Memphis, and he can go mentor some of those young guys. How about that, Matt?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into some of the other things we're going to talk about today. We're going to get into the arm injuries. Thomas has got a great article up at redbirdrants.com that you guys are going to want to click on. It's in the description. So you guys are going to want to read that because it's all the talk of baseball right now is all the different arm injuries. But before we get to that, we want to, do some specific talk about the Cardinals here today. We're going to give a rundown on the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's a segment that I did last year. It's the first time doing it this year. Now that we've got a decent amount of games under our belts, they're getting ready to, first pitch at Busch Stadium here this afternoon. They're getting ready to start that, going for the sweep today against the Marlins. But the Cardinals have been playing much better lately. And there's plenty of good things to talk about. There's still some bad, and there's still some ugly. So we're going to get into all of those things coming up next here with Thomas Gauvain from redbirdrants.com on Locked On Cardinals. Eat stress-free this spring with Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals. Every fresh, never frozen meal is chef-crafted, dietitian-approved, and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So it's good for you, and it's quick. Sign me up. Choose from a weekly menu of 35 options, including popular ones like Calorie Smart, Keto, Protein Plus, Vegan, and Veggie. Also discover more than 60 add-ons every week like breakfast, on-the-go lunch, snacks, and beverages to help you stay fueled and feel good all day long. What are you waiting for? Get started today and fuel up for your springtime goals. Get chef-prepared meals on the table in 2 minutes with Factor's ready-to-eat meals so you can get back to doing what you love this spring. If you're looking for gourmet meals, you can try meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon. When was the last time you had one of those? How about some shrimp, truffle butter, broccolini, and asparagus? No fuss, no mess meals. Factor Meals eliminates the hassle of prepping, the cooking, the cleanup, which is awful. Simply heat and savor the good stuff. Tailored to your schedule where you can customize your weekly meals with the flexibility to get as much or as little as you need, or reschedule deliveries to suit your lifestyle. You can even pause them if you want to. If things, if they're coming too quick, you can get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next box while your subscription is active. Baseball season is officially underway, and don't miss out on your chances to add your favorite players from the diamond in your PrizePicks entries, whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, first inning runs. You can be that specific if you want to. You can take your pick of more or less and add them to your PrizePicks entry today. Like, what are the Cardinals going to do against the Marlins today? Is Brendan Donovan going to have a couple more hits? Are you feeling the recent surge by Ivan Herrera? Do you think he's going to come through again? Batting cleanup again today. Get in on the playoff action and win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks as you and the world's best players take the game to a new level during basketball's postseason, which is just a couple of weeks away. My favorite aspect of PrizePicks, I've said it once, I've said it a million times, it's the fact that it's so simple and easy. That's what I like in my life. Simple, easy, no stressing. And that's what you can do with PrizePicks. You can make your picks and choose all of the things that you want to be a part of to try to win that day. And you can do it in less than 60 seconds. It's really, really easy. And you also get your money back real quick. When you're the winner, they don't hold off and say, okay, well, we'll get it to you like 6-7 days. No, you get it really quick. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Packs the #1 daily fantasy sports app. So download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Don't miss out on your chance to cash in on all your sports knowledge. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with PrizePicks. Are you watching Fox Sports on ESPN or watching ESPN or Fox Sports, I should say, and you're doing that on your TV all day, but you got to turn that sucker down because the shouting is just way too annoying. I know Thomas is a really loud shouter. I know. It's tough. No, he's not. He's relaxed. He's chill. That's what we're like here at Locked On Sports today. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all of that screaming, which is unnecessary. We're right here. You don't have to yell at us. Locked On Sports today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Again, thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Leave your comments on YouTube and on Twitter X and let us know what you're thinking about all of the stuff we're talking about. Let's dig into some Cardinals chat here. Let's talk about the good. All right, we're going to start there, Thomas. So far this season, the Cardinals, after going through the buzzsaw that was Los Angeles against the Dodgers, which I think we've all figured out, they're just pretty freaking good. That's a really good LA Dodgers team. They're beating everybody. So because the Cardinals lost 3 or 4, almost got a split there. I know a lot of us, when it first started, people were like, oh my gosh, we suck. We suck again. What are we doing? Well, it's not that bad. It hasn't been that bad. What is something positive that you can tell us, Thomas, that has, something that stood out to you that's been part of the good things going on with the St. Louis Cardinals in 2024 so far?
On a very surface level, it's the winning record. It's nice to see an above 500 line there. But more importantly, it's the youth and the energy as a whole. Lance Lynn gets an honorable mention here, of course, as he always does when we mention energy. But to see guys like Mason Wynn, Victor Scott, and even Brendan Donovan contribute the ways that they have, it's been exciting to see that youth and influx, especially given the narratives around the aging starting rotation. So to have all these young position players coming up, I mean, we had 4 guys under 24 on the opening day roster alone, and that's the first time in over 100 years. So the youth has been pretty nice to have.
That's not what I was told, Thomas. I was told that the Cardinals are a bunch of old farts that have no business playing baseball. They should be in a senior league somewhere coming into the year. And yeah, you could say that about the rotation. That is an older rotation, but the rest of the team is not. I mean, outside of Goldie and Arenado, and I guess you could throw Wilson Contreras in there. I wouldn't call any of. I mean, I guess Goldie you can call old because he's pushing 40 now. But the other two, I mean, they're still in the lower 30s. It's not like they're all 37, 38 years old. The rotation, yes, but as far as a whole, the Cardinals, they've got some decent mix there, and there's a lot of young guys who are contributing. And I feel like that's part of one of the reasons. I'm glad you brought it up, that the Cardinals, there's a different vibe going on with the team. And I know winning changes everything, and everybody's happy when the games are going well and they're winning. But like you said, with the youth in there just seems to be a different vibe where, like, even some of these games where they've had to come back, I feel like last year's team didn't have that kind of energy. And bringing these guys who were at Memphis last year, they bring this, like, we don't quit. This is a 9-inning game. Seeing guys like Herrera and Wynn and Victor and all of them being a part of that, I feel just like everything's been perked up to another level so far this year.
Yeah, absolutely. You can just see the guys on the field excited, energized. The comeback wins are huge too. It's something that I don't think we would have seen last year at any point.
Yeah, it was just kind of a dead stick, and it was like that from the get-go. It wasn't just like at the end of the year when we knew that they were toast. It was from the very beginning. It just felt like anytime they fell behind that they were done for, that there was nothing left in the tank. So definitely a good there. My good, I'm going to go with this defense, bro. How about the Cardinals? The only team left in Major League Baseball without an error. I had to double check. The Braves have finally made an error. So the Cardinals are the only team left with a 1,000 fielding percentage. And what a difference it has made. And it's going to be weird when Newt comes back and when Carlson comes back, because as well as Victor Scott has played in center defensively, do we want to mess with that? Do you want to come down a notch? And I know offensively he hasn't done everything people were hoping. Again, coming from Double-A, relax a little bit. But I worry whether or not we ought to bust up that formula, considering, that he's been a big part of being able to chase things down in center field. The infield defense has been really impressive. I mean, we've seen Jordan Walker make some great plays in the outfield, and he's making the basic plays. But like the infield defense has been outstanding. The play yesterday with Goldie spinning and going to third base on the bunt, like little things like that, they were screwing it up last year. Like that ball was going into left field, no doubt, last year. There was and the double plays, like how many are they turning this year? I have to believe they lead the league in double plays turned so far. I don't have that stat in front of me, but they got to be up there. But it's just been really refreshing. And I know as Cardinal fans, we are used to seeing really good defense, and whatever was going on last year, it appears that they've moved on from it and they've gotten it fixed. I saw some footage earlier today of like Nato and Mason Wynn taking grounders before the game, going through their routines and stuff. And whether it's more attention to detail this year, I don't know what the change has been, but I'm glad it's here because it's a whole lot more fun to watch these guys taking advantage of other teams like the Marlins and them making the mistakes, whereas the Cardinals just getting the job done, doing it day in, day out. So that's been really, really cool for me. All right, let's move on to the bad. What do you got so far? We're not trying to be negative, but nothing's perfect. What are some things that you think need to be worked on? Let's put it that way.
I picked one guy in particular because I was pretty high on him before the season started, and it's Andre Palante. If you look at his basic stats, it's really nothing to write home about. He's at an ERA in year 6. His FIP is just about the same level, but his WHIP is extremely low, 1.071. I think it's deeper than just the numbers with him. He's thrown at least 3 or 4 different types of fastballs, and his new death ball has been doing pretty well against batters. So I don't know if it's a bit of bad luck for him, if he's just missing his location by that much, but I expected a little bit more out of him, at least on a surface level.
And he's a guy that was, a fringe player on whether or not he was going to make the staff. If everybody had been healthy from the get-go, I don't know. I don't know if he makes it or not, to be honest with you. But he's definitely somebody, because he's another young guy who he's clearly got some stuff. And we saw 2 years ago that he can be an impact guy in the bullpen, a right-hander that gets lefties out. That's something nice to have in your back pocket in Ali Marmol's bullpen. And you hope he turns it around and becomes a little bit better. I'm not totally like freaking out about him by any means yet, and I don't think you are either, but it's just one of those guys to, put the spotlight on and say, hey, looking for a little more from you, kid. Let's see what else you got. So I'm going to go with one that's just a whole instead of a specific person, but I'm going to go with just the injury bug in general. I don't know how we squash it, Thomas. I know it's something that is going around the league. We're going to talk about arm injuries a little bit later, but like the Cardinals, and they're not the only team dealing with injuries. This is not an excuse, but man, have they been bitten by that injury bug early on in this season. I mean, to lose all of these outfielders. And then we had the scare with Donovan and Contreras. Contreras still not in the lineup yet. He's apparently he's going to get there soon, but they're just being precautious with him. There's no need to rush him, especially the way Ivan Herrera's already hitting right now and seems to be doing fine with the pitching staff. So no need to rush him. But like all of the injuries to the outfield, you had Carlson and Nootbaar, Tommy Edman. No idea when Tommy Edman's coming back. That missing your 3/4 of your outfielders, that's a problem. That's not good. And then, of course, you got the arm injuries that we've talked about, Riley O'Brien and Keenan Middleton. We're going to get to that here in just a little bit. Sonny Gray, obviously a huge blow. Again, not the only team missing an ace so far this year. A lot of them are going down, but at least his is an arm issue. And, it's something where he's going to be back here on Tuesday. So that was fantastic news. But, you always hear these things in the comment sections about, oh, the training staff sucks. It's their fault. What are we doing to these? It's not the trainers. It's just sports.
Fragile human being. Like, we're dealing with human beings here. We're fragile people.
Yeah, it's sports, man. I mean, injuries do happen. It's not because one thing or another. I mean, it's just bad luck. The Carlson stuff is hilariously bad. Of all the little goofy things. Nootbaar, the same way. Just dumb stuff happens to these guys and they get hurt. Just playing baseball, though. It's not like they're out getting hurt golfing. That would be something you can be upset about. And they're out on the baseball field doing what they can. All right, let's get into the ugly. Now, what is something that stands out to you that is just like, all right, this is a problem, guys. Like this, we can't see this anymore. What do you got?
So you said this is the first time you've done this year, and I didn't watch last year and you did it, so I didn't quite know what the rules here were. I've got two uglies. The first is a player again. It's Zach Thompson. We talked about him earlier, how much he struggled. He's got 8 earned runs in 10 innings. He's given up 4 home runs, which to me is the most concerning aspect of his game so far. You typically think of him as a curveball guy, keep it low, not so much using the fastball. But the other more interesting touches on your injuries, I think it's just the bad luck in general. I mean, we were second with the most players on the injured list as of Friday. We've been hit 10 times by pitches, which is the second most in the league. And then umpire scorecards. I don't know if you follow their work on Twitter.
Yes, I do.
We have the least favorable umpire calls in the entire league. I don't know what the unit is for this, but we're at negative 3.8. The next closest is the White Sox with negative 3.32. So between our hit by pitches, our umpires going against us, and then the injuries in general, I think that's been pretty ugly.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of the calls. I just assume all the umps suck these days. It seems like it. I shouldn't say that because it's not the truth. But you have seen
a job, but yeah.
And it was something I tweeted about the other day. I was like, why is it Brendan Donovan always gets picked on by the umpires too? Like,
I know.
If there's going to be bad calls, like where balls are called strikes, it seems to happen to him more than anybody else on the roster. Like it's always him. Which is weird because he's got one of the best eyes in the league. So if he's not swinging at it, like it's probably a ball. And umps continue to ring him up. And you see the frustration on his face too, because he's like, bro. And he's not going to complain because he's not that guy. But
right.
I mean, some of these calls are just egregious against him. It's just silly. I'm going to go on the offensive side here. And the one that's bothered me, and it's just a pet peeve of mine, and I know the game has changed, but strikeouts. And I'm not talking about the good ones from the pitching staff. I'm talking about on the offensive side of things where the Cardinals continue to go up to the plate and then they just don't put the ball in play. Drives me bonkers. And I know it's not easy to hit a baseball. I get it. I played. I understand. But to be striking out at the rate that they were striking out at is unbelievable. Like, lucky for them, a couple of other teams have surpassed them. But for a moment there, they have the most strikeouts in the league as hitters. Currently at 86, which puts them at 7th. 3 of the teams ahead of them have actually played more games. So only, the Reds, the Red Sox, and the Mariners have had the same amount of games and have had more strikeouts than the Cardinals. But it's just something, and you're getting it from people that, like Paul Goldschmidt is the one that's kind of like, standing out to me, the amount of times he's going down, because it was happening in the spring too. And he's like, just everybody relax, everything's fine, but he doesn't appear to be fine. He continues to strike out more than he ever has in his career. And, you worry about that because I know as a fan base and myself, we would love to see Goldie sign an extension, get like 1 or 2 more years out of him before he rides off into the sunset. But I mean, if you're not putting the ball in play anymore, if the bat speed is down and it's just not happening. Because last year the numbers were down, but at the same time, his metrics were actually pretty good. So it wasn't like he was as bad as his numbers may seem. But now you're seeing it all coming down together, and that's a problem. That's a problem. I have faith that he'll be fine, but it's just one of the ugly things that's going on right now is just the amount of strikeouts that the Cardinals offense is putting up there. Because you see when you put the ball in play, things can happen in your favor. Look at the Marlins kicking it around, throwing it around. This will happen against bad teams. And when you strike out, you don't even give them a chance to screw up to put you in a good spot. So that's just something that bugs me, and that's my ugly. Something else that's been ugly this year, the arm injuries. We've had a number of them to not only Cardinals players, but around the league, some very big names. So we're going to talk about an article that Thomas just wrote at redbirdrans.com. You can go check it out now if you want to. But we're going to talk about the arm injuries and what he learned in his research about why they're happening and how many are happening and just all of it. We're going to get into that next on Locked On Cardinals. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you can still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer in from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match. Keeps going. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. The offer is good through April 30th. Get started at robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal info. Claim as of Q1 2024, validated by Radius Global Market Research. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Once again, Thomas Gauvain from RedbirdRants.com joining us here today. New article you put out, and most people have probably heard by now about Guardians ace Shane Bieber, going to be out for the year. Tommy John surgery. Braves ace Spencer Strider, UCL damage. Still waiting to find out what they're going to do, but his season now in jeopardy. Yankees ace Garrett Cole out with an elbow problem right now. He's going to miss a few months. The Cardinals have Keenan Middleton, Riley O'Brien, both out with flexor strains. The arm injuries continue to rise in Major League Baseball. And again, we're going to put the link in the description so you guys can read the whole article. But in your research about what exactly have you learned about these arm injuries that you can share? Because it really isn't just Major League pitchers. I shouldn't even specify it that way because it's happening at the high school level more and more every year. So what's going on here, dude?
Yeah, so this all started when I saw that Shane Bieber went down. I asked our site editor, Josh Jacobs, if I could dig a little bit deeper. It's not really Cardinal specific for the site, but he let me go for it. And I brought in two different windows here. The first is a book by Jeff Passan called The Arm. He wrote it, I think, 2017. It's a fantastic book. It's dense, so give yourself some time. And then the second is a guy, I'm going to butcher his name, I think, but his name is John Rogaley. Okay. And he has kept track of every single elbow procedure since 2012, and he goes all the way back to 1974, which was when the first Tommy John surgery was. So between Passan and then Rogaley, I put it together and I tried to identify three different reasons why these elbow injuries are happening. And it starts off with youth baseball and how intense it's gotten, all these year-round tournaments, the velocity training that these kids are going through. I mean, even Dr. James Andrews was recently quoted talking about kids throwing 90 and how that's bad for them. So that would be the first, how overused youth arms are. The second reason is how unnatural the overhand throwing motion is, which I actually had no clue about up until getting into this article. I did find out, so here's some trivia for those of you who go to trivia nights. The first overhand pitching was allowed in 1884 in baseball. So that's kind of the beginning of this overhand motion. There's a study that said that the force that's put on a pitcher's arm, specifically elbow, is a range that exceeds joint failure for the UCL. And so over repeated motions, years of doing all these pitches, it's going to get you. But then probably the most direct correlation is velocity. Since 2008, fastball velocity has risen by 2.3 miles per hour on average, and slider's gone up by 1.8 miles per hour. And then at a commensurate rate, we've seen elbow injuries go up. So a lot of people will attribute it to pitch clock, spin rates. The pitch clock might be, I don't think we have enough data and depth to go into it, but if you look, the games from 2002 to 2010 were the same length as they were last year, and the highest amount of arm procedures within that range was just 21. So we hit 39 last year, 40 in 2021. So velocity seems to be the most direct cause of these elbow injuries.
Yeah, the maximum effort thing is something that, like, when I was playing, we were always told you're throwing with your legs, not your arms. So when you see guys like Sonny Gray's got cannon legs on him, Spencer Strider, another one, got the elbow injury, tree trunks, right? They got like hockey player legs, these big old legs down there. And there was you wanted to throw with your legs, not your arm, to keep the stress off that. Pitching coaches that I had growing up constantly were saying, I don't want you throwing a slider. Like, I don't trust it. It doesn't seem like, and they didn't used to throw sliders all the time back. Now it's kind of, it's almost mandatory. It's a part of it. I'm really happy that the slurve is becoming a thing because I feel like, that might take a little bit off of what's going on with the elbow stuff. But Yeah, I think that really is what it is. It's just the human arm is not meant to do what it's doing. And these guys are getting so big and so strong so early in their lives that their ligaments and stuff, they haven't matured to a point where they're supposed to be doing this yet. And I have no doubts that there's a direct correlation with what's going on with all of these injuries. That's what's happening. It's just they're going too quick. Does that make sense?
Right.
Where
Yeah.
they're just doing there's everybody wants to make it to the pros and they want to do it today, and they're not allowing their body to naturally make that climb to where it needs to be able to throw as hard as these guys are doing these days, which is wild to me because you remember when hitting 99 was special. Now everybody's doing it. It's really not that big of a deal anymore, and I assume that's part of the problem. And, how do you stop people from trying to be really good at the sport? I don't know if you're going to see that. And then, of course, there's the added thing where some people believe that, hey, if you get it done, you're going to be better, by the way, when you come back, which isn't always the case. I know that's what people say, that, hey, you'll come back even stronger. It's not a fun rehab. I mean, go ask Adam Wainwright about it. Ask any of these guys who have gone through it already. It's not like it's just like sitting around and just taking it easy. Like there's a lot involved to get back in 10 months when you have that surgery done. And there is no guarantee that you're going to be perfect when you get back or better. Like there's a risk there. And anytime you go under the knife, there's a risk. So it sucks because you hate seeing some of these great names go down. I want, as much as they're not on our team, but I want to watch Garrett Cole and I want to watch Spencer Strider and Shane Bieber and these guys. Like you want to see them in action, and they're going to be gone for an entire year. Like that sucks. It sucks for the game of baseball. It sucks for the fans, and I just hope they figure something out to help alleviate some of this. But yeah, I don't think it's pitch clock stuff. I think that's kind of
no. At least it could be a factor, but definitely not one of the major ones.
Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe if it was a pitch clock and you had to throw it 100 miles an hour each time, then yeah, maybe that's a problem. But you don't have to. Changing speeds and stuff. Actually, pitching instead of being a thrower is it's still very much acceptable in the game of baseball. So I don't know. If I was a parent, I don't have any kids of my own. I know you just had your kid, and you're I'm sure it'll be a future Hall of Famer one day, but I would tell him to take it easy. Don't start throwing 95 until he's in college. How about that?
Yeah, right.
All right. Well, we're going to put the article that Thomas did about all of these arm injuries. We're going to stick that into the link. We'll have that in the description on YouTube. And if you're doing the audio version, we've got that in the show notes as well. But a lot of good stuff. Thomas, you've been busy writing. There's a lot going on with the Cardinals. Hopefully we have more good stuff to write about and read about with you guys at Redbird Rants here very, very soon as they go for the sweep today against the Miami Marlins, who are still the only winless team in Major League Baseball. How shocking is that to you that they've fallen this far? And I know, hey, Sandy Alcantara, another arm injury. He's gone. Yuri Perez, another arm injury. He's gone. And I know that's part of it, but the way that they're losing ball games, it's eerily similar of what the Cardinals went through last year.
Yeah, it's tough to see, especially with Skip Schumacher being there. You want to see the team succeed and do well.
But it's kind of a sight to see because I was thinking about that. I was like, this is what the Cardinals did last year. This is how we lost ball games, like pickoff throws going into the dugout and stuff like just dumb stuff, just bad baseball in general. So a lot of strikeouts too on that team as well. So anywho, we hope they suck at least for one more day, don't we? And then then they can go get better against somebody.
Go beat the Cubs or somebody. Yeah,
there you go. Go pick on that. But Cardinals wrapping it up against the Marlins today. The Phillies come in town next, and great news about Sonny Gray coming back on Tuesday. So that's going to wrap things up for Locked On Cardinals. Thank you guys for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, give us a follow on Twitter, X at @LO_Cardinals, and at JD Sports Radio. You can find Thomas Gauvain at Thomas Gauvain on Twitter X. He spells it Gauvain, in case you were wondering. If you're watching, you can read that. If you're listening, that's how he spells it. There you go. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. Help our channel and our love for the Cardinals grow. Go to redbirdrants.com. Do some reading today. You guys are the best fans of baseball for a reason. We'll see you next time on Locked On Cardinals. Thank you, Thomas, for joining us today.
Thanks, JD. Have a good one.